Everyone, it's Michelle Caruana from Play Cafe Academy and Profitable Play. And in today's video, I want to talk about some indoor playground and play cafe business trends that I really saw take off, mostly as a result of the pandemic, but that I really hope stick around, even though most of us are kind of getting back to our normal lives, either in our personal lives or in our indoor playgrounds and play cafes. But I really hope these 8 trends stick around specifically. Now, I did put this information out on my podcast back in June, but I added a couple things that I forgot to include. But if you prefer to listen instead of watch, I'm going to link to that podcast episode in the description of this video. To this day, it's my most downloaded and most listened to podcast episode. So I really wanted those of you who prefer YouTube to get the information as well. And if I missed any trends or if you have anything to add or any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comments because I'm sure there is something that I left off my list. I already realized since I released the podcast episode that I left a couple of things that I really wanted to include out. So please comment if I missed anything or if there are any trends that you hope stick around. All right, so the first trend is something that we were kind of moving towards anyways, but was definitely expedited as a result of the pandemic. And that trend is moving away from these smaller toys. So what I mean by that is I've noticed that a lot of indoor playgrounds and play cafes who have either recently opened or who have expanded or opened second locations are moving more and more into either a gross motor focus or their fine motor play is really more kind of affixed to the walls, or there's definitely less of those little teeny tiny toys lying around. So when we opened our play cafe, we were very much an imaginative space, and with that we had play food, we had play pastries, we had blocks and all sorts of stuff, and trains and train tracks, and there was always a million pieces to keep track of. And because of the pandemic, those little pieces really got to be problematic because they would go in kids' mouths or they would be constantly touched and handled. And they were just much more difficult to keep clean than those larger items that you can spray down and wipe. We really had to soak all of these small toys several different times a day. And, the cleaner had to get in all like the little crevices. And when you use wooden toys and things like that, they're just really difficult to clean. And when you do clean them with disinfectant, a lot of times they degrade or they start to break or the paint comes off. So I've noticed that a lot of, again, indoor playgrounds or play cafes are either moving more towards gross motor play, or any fine motor items that they have, like I said, are either in the form of wall panels or they're gluing their train tracks down. And an added benefit that I've seen so often be brought up in my Playmakers Society group is that when you have less of those smaller toys, it's also much easier to maintain not just the cleanliness in terms of germs of your space, but also the cleanliness in terms of toys all over the freaking place. I can't tell you how many hours and hours every single day we spent reorganizing the farmer's market basket or reorganizing the play bakery. So even though I do still love imaginative play, I love play markets and things like that, I've definitely seen less pieces. So we recently went to an indoor playground in our area that had a play market. And instead of 60 different play pieces, there was like 10 bigger items. And that was definitely sufficient, even though it was a very busy day. So I've definitely seen, again, the move away from the smaller pieces, which as both a business owner and a parent, I appreciate because, again, I know that it's easier to keep clean. And again, it's a lot easier to maintain that polished look of your space, which is going to save your staff time. It's going to save your staff frustration, and it's going to help you save on payroll. You're going to be able to reduce the amount of time between parties, reduce the amount of time you need to turn over events and classes and all that good stuff. And also, last point, and I swear I'm going to move on to the next one, but it also makes it a lot easier to rent out your space to others because it's a lot easier to keep things as they were as you found them. So I would find when I would rent out our spaces to occupational therapists or play groups or things like that, and I would say, hey, just make sure you leave the play area as you found it. When we had a million small pieces, there was just no way that they could, realistically remember how everything was set up and what our standards were and things like that. Whereas if you have less small pieces, it's a lot easier for them to maintain the space, which really opens up a new revenue stream for you. So again, moving away from the smaller toys. And then number two, I hope the enhanced cleaning routines that we've all had to adapt as a result of the pandemic stick around, because not only does that help prevent the spread of both COVID and other viruses like hand, foot, and mouth and strep and all of those, germs that we really can only do our best to avoid, especially in those winter months. It also really helps families with food allergies feel safe in your environment. So, for example, I noticed a lot of indoor playgrounds and play cafes have put hand washing sinks at the opening of their play area. So in order to enter the play area, you have to wash your hands. So again, this really helps with cleanliness in terms of germs, but it also helps prevent allergens from entering your play space. So to me, this one is a win-win. And you guys already know how I feel about safely accommodating food allergies and just how important that is, not only to inclusivity and to your humanity and values as a business owner, but also to your profitability and your bottom line. So again, I love the enhanced cleaning routines. I know a lot of people have adapted things like microfiber spray, which is essentially a mist that not only kills germs on contact, but it also works to actively kill new germs that come in contact with that surface. So I love all of these enhancements. I love the new hand washing sinks. Keep it up. More hand sanitizing stations, all that good stuff. So I really hope that sticks around. And then number three, I love the ability to reserve open play. So as I said, a lot of us have gone back to almost normal business operations, yet I've noticed that a lot of my Playmaker Society members have chosen to keep at least the option to reserve open play. So for example, Tiffany from My Play Cafe, and I know Renee from Mizanmi Play Cafe, and I know Alicia from Gentle Hands Play Space, they all at least have maintained the ability to book open play sessions. And I love this for a few different reasons. Not only does it hold that customer accountable, so I can't tell you how many times me as a parent woke up and was like, you know what, we're going to go to an indoor playground either today or tomorrow or on Friday. But then that time rolls around and, something comes up, I make an excuse, my kids aren't really behaving. So we end up not going for whatever reason. But if I buy a ticket in advance, I plan my day around it. I really make sure that I actually attend. So I love that it really gives parents that action item like, okay, I'm going to buy this ticket. I'm not going to waste my money. I am going to actually go play. So I love that. And I also love that it is a little bit more of a predictable stream of revenue for indoor playground owners and play cafe owners, because again, you can kind of look at your schedule for the day, see how many open play spots at each time slot are open, which ones you need to fill. Maybe you need to send out an email. So it adds an element of predictability, which can also help you with staffing needs and all that good stuff. And it's really just a convenience. So as you guys know, my son has autism, and a lot of times the check-in process getting into an indoor playground or a play cafe is honestly enough to prevent me from going at all. Because if I have to wait in line or if it takes too long and he sees all of the really cool climbing structures behind him and he has to wait, it's really hard for him, especially when he was nonverbal, to understand. And it would usually result in a huge screaming meltdown before we even got in. And while I know that I can't, cater the world to his needs, I do know that having the option to sign a waiver in advance, pay in advance, reserve a spot in advance, I do know that it makes my life as a special needs parent so much easier. And it's such a simple thing to offer that, why wouldn't you do it? Especially if you know that a portion of your customers are facing similar issues. So I love the ability to reserve open play. I could have a whole video about that specific topic. So if you would like me to interview somebody who has really kept and maintained the ability to reserve open play, let me know, because I'm not an expert on it, but I do absolutely love it as a consumer. So if you want to see that, let me know in the comments below. All right, number 4, online ordering and purchasing options. So I noticed that a lot of indoor playgrounds have added a more robust retail section to their online website. So if they were offering books or toys or sensory kits or the ability to book balloons or services or classes or parties. If they weren't doing that before the pandemic, I noticed almost all of them are now having that option. And they're really focusing on that user experience, which I'm going to talk all about on my podcast in the next couple episodes. So again, go to the video description and subscribe if that's something that you want to learn more about. And sorry guys, I'm fighting a cold, so I'm really doing my best here. But I love that business owners have really made both a money and a time investment on improving the online ordering and purchasing customer experience on their website, because we're going into the holiday season. And if somebody's purchasing a membership or a pack of play passes or a gift card, again, this is another podcast episode where I talk all about upsells and how to make sure that if you're selling a membership or a pack of play passes or a gift card, how you are making sure to offer a book, offer a sensory kit, offer some classes. You want to make sure that you are upselling enough in your business because customers appreciate it. A lot of times when you're giving a gift to a child that's like a gift card, they want something physical to give along with that. And if you're not providing it for them, chances are they're going to be getting it from somewhere else. So why not make it easier for them and put that money in your business's pocket instead of having them need to go somewhere else for that? So I love the increased online ordering and purchasing options, and I love the enhanced user experience. Keep it up. I think that's going to be a huge difference maker between those indoor playgrounds that have a successful holiday season and those who do not meet their sales expectations. And then number 5, I love that so many indoor playgrounds and play cafes have adapted contactless ordering. So either they have a point of sale system app where somebody can log in and order a coffee or order a snack, and it's just placed on the counter so that they don't need to leave the play area to place their order. Because especially now that my kids are older and we're going to larger footprint play areas, I physically can't leave them alone to go to the cafe. So even if I want to order something, I can't leave my kids alone in order to do that. So that usually results in us stopping somewhere before to eat or somewhere after to eat or get a coffee or whatever. So I've noticed that a lot of indoor playgrounds have either added apps or added ordering kiosks to make it a lot easier for their customers to, again, order food and drink in their facility. So one of the point of sale systems that I recommend is Alubi, which I will also link to in the description of this video, but they make it really easy to set up iPad kiosks so that customers can order within the play area at the counter. So again, this is not only making your customers' lives easier, but it's also making your staff's lives easier, because if they're prepping snacks or making food or making drinks, they don't have time always to go to the counter, take a new order, go back to the kitchen, or go back to the espresso machine. So if they're just able to get these orders and have these customers pay without having to have staff intervention, that's going to make everybody's lives a whole lot easier, especially if that customer is able to save their payment information. So like within the app or within the kiosk or within their account on the kiosk. So I absolutely love this option, both from a staffing perspective and from a customer's perspective. And something that I talk a lot about on this channel is how to make your staff's lives easier and show them that you care about them and about their day-to-day lives while they're working in your facility. And by making their lives easier in this way, it's going to increase your staff retention. It's going to, again, boost morale. And I really think that this is a conversation that you should start involving your staff in if it's something that you're considering. So before I made any of these big changes or implemented any of these drastic changes, I would always meet with at least my manager, but hopefully as many staff members as I could, to say, hey, is it really difficult during busy hours to maintain the cash register and make all of these orders? Or do you feel like there needs to be another staff member, or would contactless ordering really help you? So again, you don't have to make all these decisions yourself, because maybe they'll say, no, I think that would be a nightmare, because who knows? So involve your staff in these decisions, but 9 out of 10 times, it's going to result in a better experience for both your staff and your customers. All right, number 6, we're moving right along. So I also love that so many more indoor playgrounds have incorporated mobile play and things like balloon delivery, balloon arches, balloon bouquets, and things like that to their businesses as additional revenue streams. And even though there is a helium shortage right now, things like garlands, arches, columns, bouquets, marquees, all of those types of things, and you can put those in the YouTube search bar if you're not sure what any of those mean, they typically don't require helium. And they can be either installed on your site at your facility, or you can deliver them to other houses. And I absolutely love this because it can allow you to branch into a whole new customer base who would have never had the chance to actually, patronize your facility. So what I mean by that is I'll give an example. So Tal from Art Factory Play Cafe in Virginia, she uses balloons to really expand her customer base because she makes marquees, columns, arches, all that stuff for graduation parties, company events. Well, not Tal specifically, but I'll use Tracy from Poppy Tots. She does mobile play areas for graduation parties, for company parties, for neighbor events or town events or things like that, or private parties. So she's able to get that customer who was really more interested in having a party at their house instead of at a facility. So she's now expanding her entire customer base. So anybody that's added any sort of mobile element to their business, whether that's, again, balloon delivery or art, whether that's characters that can travel, or whether that's mobile play, so mobile soft play, anything like that, I think that's going to be another big difference maker in the coming years to which businesses are just kind of surviving and which businesses are really thriving. All right, number 7, and these are the two that I didn't include in my podcast, but somebody brought it up in my Playmaker Society group, and I thought it was really smart. So the 7th trend that I hope doesn't go away is business owners standing their ground / the customer is not always right. Anyone that has had to go through the pandemic being a business owner, they have tough skin now, and they have been used and abused by customers and by the government and all that stuff. And I love that I'm seeing more and more business owners respectfully stand their ground on their policies, on their pricing, on their rules and regulations and things like that. I think previous to the pandemic, we were much more quick to kind of fold in the face of criticism or backlash. And now I absolutely love that I'm seeing more business owners, both in the indoor playground industry and beyond. I love that I'm seeing them really stand firm and say, listen, my prices are my prices. We just went through a pandemic. There's inflation. If you don't want to pay it, that's fine. There's 20 other businesses that you could support instead of mine. And I absolutely love that business owners are really, again, very respectfully standing their ground and realizing that the customer is not always right. So again, I'm never a fan of customers being super defensive or petty or anything like that on social media. But I do think, again, really sticking to your values, really sticking to your rules and policies and not letting customers push you around. I think that by creating those boundaries for yourself as a business owner and for your staff, especially as well, I think that's going to result in long-term success of your business. And if a couple, people don't like it, then those are not your ideal customer. And by saying no to them and by standing firm in your values, in your convictions, you're just making room for people who do respect your business, who do value your services, who are willing to pay you what you need to charge in order to have a sustainable business. Because again, these customers have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. They don't know that our rents are all increasing, that our property taxes are increasing, that the cost of paying our employees is increasing, that it's costing more than ever to hire and retain employees. People do not understand. And again, that's just when it comes to pricing, but when it comes to our policies, there are so many people that try to bully us in terms of, socks, or they try to negotiate our prices. And I absolutely love that I'm seeing more and more business owners, again, not be rude, but not buckling in the face of criticism, especially when it's not constructive. So I love business owners standing up for themselves and really saying, this is my business, support it if you want, don't if you don't want to. So I love that. And then the last point is I absolutely love that I've noticed so many more people in my community, at least, and I know that this is also true of, around the country and hopefully even the world is I've noticed that people are much more cognizant of where they're spending their money, and they're much more passionate about supporting small and local businesses, especially family owned businesses. And I really hope that continues. And I really hope people are more aware of, especially because we're coming up to the holiday shopping scene. I hope that people are really aware of the fact that us small local business owners rely on them to feed our families, to put our kids in sports, all of that good stuff. And I think the pandemic really brought that issue to the forefront. And like I said, I think people are much more passionate about not just supporting small businesses with their dollars, but also by sharing them with their friends and family, reposting something that they see that they believe in, posting a contest or a new promotion to their stories. I've really seen the amount of support for small businesses surge. And I just want to make sure that we as consumers, not just as business owners, are not letting that taper off, because I absolutely love the community feel of supporting those who are working and living in our own communities and keeping that money there. All right, so these are the 8 things that I really hope stick around after the pandemic, even though our lives are getting somewhat back to normal. So, again, if I missed anything, if you have any trends that you want to add, please comment below. I would love to add them. All right, have a great day, guys. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a video.